If you can, let me get a comment in the chat box. Um, I am being super reckless. Speaking of Mr. Jason Black, he's still his live is actually still going on, right? And I'm also kind of stepping on Art New Style's toes. Art got a live going on, and I'm actually not gonna make that long. I'm gonna try to be in and out within the next 30 minutes. So because I plan on maybe going on Art New Style's channel. It looks like he has some really dope topics today, and I just had to get some of my thoughts out for Jason Black's main point. And he stressed it a couple of times: get rich or die trying. For those of you that don't know, the Black Authority, well, his channel is called The Business. This particular channel that he's on, and shout out to Jeff Brown. I see Jeff Brown called in, and Jeff Brown was speaking about California and kind of what's going on there. And so pretty much what Jason was speaking about is like not just even hyperinflation, just the cost of things getting insane. And Gen Z and millennials will probably work until they die. And let me just say it straight out. Jason, they're probably gonna work until they die. As a millennial, I can tell you straight up. And actually this kind of speaks to, I know, Jason is going in on 50 Cent's son and how he sounded, yeah, a lot of Gen Z millennials, younger millennials sound like that, especially those in the bottom 80%, because they feel in that crunch, right? And the people that are excelling, yes, are the people that have skills and talents, and cultivate those skills and talents, but also the people who parents pretty much set them up. And then if you're not in those two groups, you're pretty much screwed. Like you're pretty much screwed. So it's crazy because like I'll just straight up say it. Like most of these people, most millennials, if Jason is to be correct, right? Most millennials, right, will probably, the way it's looking, will probably die on the factory floor, die in the work office, right, in their cubicle, right, die as on the floor as a Walmart greeter, right, or behind the cash register at some retail store or grocery store, and they will be pushed out of their main gig, right? Their 40, 50, $60,000 a year job, $65,000 a year job will finally push them out, but they will not be able to make it. And if they do not have children, and we already know millennials don't have kids like Gen X did and whatnot. So if they're not, if they didn't have children, they will unfortunately, forget what Kevin Samuels was saying, die alone. Like you're gonna die at work, right? Because you don't have anyone that's willing to take on the burden of taking care of you, right? It's just the numbers just don't add up. The get rich or die trying, I understand what Jason is saying. It's just not a thing. That's just not a thing. And to hear Jeff Brown call it, with California, it's pretty much okay. So people got priced out. People got priced out, right? People got priced out. That's the game now. People just got priced out, and that's the way it's going to be, right? And that's unfortunate. That is truly, truly unfortunate that people got priced out. Jason mentioned New York, and New Yorkers be getting it. Well, the median income for New Yorkers is still like somewhere in the mid 30s, like 35, 36 something, $34,000 a year for the median income, right? Not the average. And even when you go throughout New York, outside of like, the nicest places on the island of Manhattan, the median household income is still somewhere hovering around like 70 some odd, $80,000 a year, right? That's, I mean, we have people in throughout the Black community that truly believe the business class should be the group of people running the country. Well, they are. I mean, Jason himself mentioned, the government's out to lunch, and essentially he was saying the corporate class, is running the yard. Well, this is what you get. I mean, this is what it looks like, right? They're pricing just about everybody out the game. That's just the way it is. That's just what's happening right now. You know, Jason mentions an article that says essentially, excuse me, train tracks. Um, mentions an article that says something like, 50% of homes being purchased. I can't remember. I want to say it was somewhere in Texas, but 50% of the homes being purchased are being purchased by real estate investors. Like, I mean, bro, I don't know where we go from here. Like, I hear Jason saying, get rich or die trying. And, we all know that, for those of you that don't know, that's a 50 Cent album title, Get Rich or Die Trying. It was a huge album in the early aughts. Huge. And it sounds well, but that's just not going to be the thing for the average American. So I think they are going to, in other words, what I'm saying is people are going to die trying. The masses of people, regardless, before we even do the race conversation, they're just going to die trying. Like this is not a thing, right? Like, not everyone is going to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody's going to be lead attorney at their firm. Not everyone is going to be that $150, 60, $80,000 a year thing. That's just like not a thing, and this is not me even attempting to dismiss everything Jason said. First of all, I don't think I can. He does have a point, right? But like he said, if the government's out to lunch and the corporations in the corporate sector and the investors are running the board, this is what you're going to get every time. If there's no regulations in place, if there's nothing to stop this or slow it down or apply the brakes, or like Jeff Brown was saying, the safety net, if that's just not a thing, then this is where we are. This is where we're going to be. And that's unfortunate, right? I listen to Jason's, speak, and I agree with him. I think where we disagree is and I don't even know if I disagree with the get rich or die trying, as much as I'm saying that it's not going to work for like more than 80% of Americans, quite frankly. It's just not. Right? These people have already said. I watched a segment of I wanted to say Gone in 60 Seconds. Sorry, Jeff Brown called it. He said he's a petrol head too. So but not Gone in 60 Seconds. But I watched a segment. I think it was 60 Minutes, and one of these real estate investors was kind of low key bragging about, not even low key, bragging about, essentially allowing people to rent their dream home, because you're not going to be able to afford your dream home. So you're going to be able to rent your dream home, right? Indefinitely. So you will never own your dream home. And he was like getting off on saying that. And yes, the interviewer had to kind of back him into the corner a bit for him to say that. Then you have, like I said to you guys before, the Uber CEO kind of bragging that they're going to have an unlimited workforce. Essentially, the workforce is crap. And like, yeah, we're going to have an unlimited workforce of like cheap drivers because they're hard up on cash right now. Right? I mean, it's one thing to want to be a shark. It's another thing for the masses of Americans to be on the wrong side of those sharks. To be on the wrong side of that labor game, right? And I'm listening to Jason speak, and I see some of the brothers that frequent the Black Manosphere in his comments, and I'm listening to him, and Jason has been on this for a while, and the brother is good with numbers too. He's astute, he's well researched, and he comes to, and by the way, Jason is not part of the Black Manosphere, but he comes to the table with this type of information all the time, and he's been doing it since the beginning, right? So his broadcast is always like chock full of like information, and I always respected Jason for that. But then he says like get rich or die trying, and like Jason is not dumb by a long shot. Jason has to know that when you tell people get rich or die trying, what you're essentially saying is 80% of people at the least are going to be those that die trying. They're not going to be the people that are going to like, you know, die in a cushy ass apartment of old age, right? It's just not going to happen. Right? And that, the number, like we said, just the number, what the math don't math. The math don't, I'm not even speaking about specifically black people yet. What's the median income in America right now? Once again, not the average, the median. Once again, of course, it's raining in South Florida. Of course, right? Of course. You know, I was on Rogish channel earlier today, raining. It didn't rain pretty much since that point, and now I'm back on the road, headed home, raining. Of course, of course, of course. Welcome to South Florida. One thing you know it'll be, hot and raining, right? Hot and raining, hot and raining. But yeah, so hopefully you guys can still hear me. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat if you like what I'm doing here. But yeah, you know, and I hear what, and this is like maybe the lefty in me, you know, that's just like, this is not sustainable, right? Oh boy, and it's getting louder, and I don't know if you guys can hear me over the loud ass rain on my windshield. You know, I'm sorry for the noise. Hopefully somebody could put in the chat if you guys can still hear me. If not, I'll just shut it off and maybe come back a little later when I get inside or something like that. And I'm probably not, because I don't want to step on arch toes. So I'm gonna really try to, like, you know, be off in like the next 20 minutes or so. Oh yeah, it's gotten a little bit lighter already. Yeah, but welcome to South Florida weather, anyone. I mean everyone, excuse me, everyone. But yeah, so like I said, you know, this is not sustainable. I think that's what I'm saying. That's what I continue to stress, is that how this is really not sustainable. I really think we're sending young people to their doom. Excuse me, I said dooms. Doom. I mean, by the time your median household, by the time your median individual makes six figures will be the equivalent of like $45,000 a year, right? And I, you know, like I said, Jason went through withering detail, and he did predict accurately, you know, that $1 million or 500 and some odd thousand or hundreds of thousands of dollars, that just will not be a thing. And as a millennial, I can tell you, I agree with him 100. When you just see the home prices right now, it's just not, you can't really touch a reasonable home right now for less than $300,000 pretty much anywhere in the country. And then there's certain places in the country where a $300,000 house own a home. So Jason is 100% correct about that, right? And he needs to be given his props for saying that. Once again, though, I don't see how this is sustainable, right? It's just not sustainable. It's just not, right? And I think we have to be honest about that. And I just don't know where we go from here, outside of what Jason says. And so what he's saying does serve a purpose. Get rich or die trying. I just want to know what happens to the rest of your society that's not rich. I mean, like, it's one thing to look out for number one, and then your circle, right? Your closest of close friends and your family, right? Outside of that, I mean, if you're not living in a gated community and you don't have a stockpile of guns, and your job or your career or your business that you own is not around the corner from you, and it's, you know, I really don't see how this is sustainable. I fear for your safety, even if you're in the top 20%, right? I really do. I don't see how this is sustainable. I'm listening to Jason talk. I've spoken to the brother before I went by the name Mr. Z. I've spoken to Jason. I've spoken to Jason after I went by the name Mr. Z. I've been listening to Jason since the days of Tommy Sotomayor. Just in case Jason ever comes up on this, yes, I've spoken to you multiple times, right? Um, yeah, I just don't see how this is sustainable, brother. I agree with you that unless you're trying to get rich or die trying, it's probably going to be a hard road for you. I agree with you on that. Come on, bro, drive, man. God, y'all are the worst drivers ever. I'm sorry to be snapping on the word. Like, yo, I promise you, like, I don't know what these people be doing when they're just, they're operating a vehicle. They're not driving. They're operating a vehicle, and they're doing a horrible job at even that. Road rage. You gotta control yourself. You gotta control yourself. Maybe we do need automated cars because, like I said before, many of you just need the steering wheel snatched from your hands because you're just operating a vehicle and doing a horrible job at even that, right? But yeah, so, you know, back to this conversation. We understand that 40% of Americans can afford a $400 emergency, 60% of Americans can afford a $1,000 emergency, 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Some, you know, people don't have like $5,000 in savings, obviously, as reflected by the numbers. You know, Jason comes to us periodically with the median house price. He started off his broadcast speaking about the average new car price is some $48,000 plus. And people are financing these things for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. The days of like 4-year financing for a new car is apparently not a thing anymore. That's just horrible. I see I got a super chat. I will be able to read it in a minute. I am on the road. I'm on the expressway right now, so I can't look down unless you want me to die. But thank you for the super chat. I will be reading it in a second. I'm not too far from a red light. And it's unfortunate, bro. Like I don't really see how this works. Like, okay, Mr. Z wins the lottery and he makes it out. Woo for me. But then, like, I live on a planet with other people. I live in a country with other people. Like, my children are gonna be rubbing elbows with other people. So even if I make it out, did I really though? Right? Like, on a societal level. Like, listen to Jason, you know, Mr. Z speaks to y'all about some of these things all the time, so I'm not... Jason didn't frighten me with what he was saying. But what is frightening to me is as the crunch and the bite down happens more and more, how that's going to affect how other people respond, right? The people that are not in the know, whether they're prepared or not, the people that are not in the know, how they respond, right? That is what's frightening to me. Not so much my response, but others' response, right? And I truly don't know how the rest of society, which is not in the know, they're not listening to any of these things. They think these things are depressing, right? And then we already see, like, and I'm so beating myself up for this, for not saving the segment where Crystal Ball covers the research data that shows for like the first time in like human history practically, poor folks and middle class folks are not looking forward to having children, are not looking forward to having a family and to getting married, right? This is like the first time, definitely in American history, being recorded and polled, that this is not like, people are not looking forward to this outside of the top, 20%. That's why everyone hears me go on and on and on about the top 20%, because that's the distinguished line. That's the line of delineation in our society. It really is the 80-20 rule. And when I hear brothers say that and they're mainly referring to dating and marriage, I'm like, no, the 80-20 rule goes way deeper than dating and marriage, right? Way deeper than that, right? And it's like I keep on coming back to this. This is not sustainable. Like, I hear Jason using this as motivational speak, and shout out to him, and I can't poo-poo that or dismiss that part of it. What I'm saying on a societal level, if it is Gen Z And millennial and Gen Z will work until they die unless they really get their minds right and like get into the right fields, STEM fields and whatever, and really wake up every day on the get rich or die trying mentality. What I am saying straight up is that as a millennial, when I look at my peers, when I speak to Gen Z, it is going to be dying trying to get rich. For the masses of us. For the masses of us, it will be that. Unfortunately. Unfortunately. Because the math don't math, and the top 20%, but definitely the top 1 and 5% are hoarding all of the wealth. They want it all. You know, George Carlin spoke about this before he passed, the comedian George Carlin. They want it all. They want your social. They want it all. They're trying to privatize everything. They want it all. Right? And like the trick of the game that they played on so many people is by privatizing everything, crushing unions and organizing, and then telling you, oh, by the way, you could do it. You could do this by yourself. You could be where we are. You too could be a shark. You could be where we are, and you could do battle with us if you get up here. Right? That was the game. It's to sell you on you could be one of them. Once again, 56 or some odd millionaires in America. Oh, I'm sorry, on the planet. 56 million millionaires on the planet, right? And some 2,800, so 2,800 or some odd billionaires on the planet. Let me read, electrician, what's going on? Mr. Z, keep doing your thing, bro. Thank you, bro. Detroit said 20%, try 10%. Right? And thank you guys for listening in. I'm really not gonna try to make this particular stream, that long, because I know Art New Style is on. I when I checked last, Jason Black was still doing his stream, and so this is not necessarily. I'm not in full disagreement with Jason, so I want to be very clear. I'm not just rambling just to ramble. What I am saying is, I don't see how this is sustainable, number one. I truly think that if Jason is correct, get rich or die trying, then what is going to happen is the masses of people are going to die trying. They're going to be passing in they're literally going to be falling out on their jobs. Whether it's in a cubicle, whether it's in the factory, on the factory floor, whether it's as a Walmart greeter. And I just don't see how, I mean, that's how we got Social Security in the first place, right? Is that old people were literally dying, like practically destitute. Practically destitute, right? Like that's how you got Social Security in the first place. Because it was unsightly to see like old people dying in their own feces in squalor, right? And like, I'm not even trying to advocate for government, but like, I really don't see how this works. The math is just simply not, it's not mathing. Like, that's not even meant to be a funny statement. If your median household income is some less than $70,000 a year, that's for Americans. That's not even before we add race. That's your median household income is some 67, 68. Let's say it was 70 or 75, just to be nice. Throw some $1,000s on it. Right? If your median household income was 75,000, that's still not, and that's assuming that there's two people in the home, two working age adults in the home to bring you to that 75. And it has to be, because if the median income for men in America is some $40,000 or some odd, and your median income for women, I've been seeing numbers from 25 to 35,000, then that's just, it's not sustainable. This is just, simply put, it's not sustainable. The neoliberal project worked. Let's call a thing a thing. Let's call it a thing. These people wanted to privatize the entire world. They got it. The neoliberal project worked. And now we're here. It worked. They wanted to take back everything from the civil rights movement. They wanted to take back everything from the labor rights movement. And it worked. And 40 years on, 50 years on, 40 to 50 years on, we're here now. These people got what they wanted. Right? See, it's one thing when 5% of your population is in this predicament. It's another thing when 15%, 20% of your workforce, your population is in this predicament. But when you're looking at half of your workforce in these type of, when I'm saying the median household income that's half above, half below, is at some less than $70,000 a year. Look, bro, you blaming that on the people is just like, that's not a thing. You can't blame the people when half the people are in this position. That's a system problem. That's a system problem. It's not people don't know money and yeah, maybe they don't, but that's a system problem. Right? And I don't even think Jason would maybe disagree with me on that. I just think Jason is maybe saying, let me don't put words in his mouth. I don't know. I don't really know. Let me don't put words in his mouth. Right? But this is a system problem. And I don't know. I think where Jason is correct is you can't hope that the system fixes this before you get to 60 and 65 years old. And so with that, I will agree with him. But who then if he's correct, then I'm correct. Then be prepared to be, for those of us that make it, and when I say make it, I mean you will not be in somebody's, you will not need to work crazy hours to make it into your 70s and maybe 80s. You will not be forced to work. That's what I mean by making it. Maybe you do a little 20-hour job a week because you just want to get out of the house. Your kids are grown. You want to see people, and you do some very, like, you are the Walmart greeter, but because you want to, right? But for everyone else, be prepared to watch your siblings and your cousins and obviously I could say cousins. I like saying cousins them. I don't know why. But your cousin them, be prepared to watch them, to be getting phone calls that your cousins are passing away and your relatives are passing away at work. Your friends and family are passing away at work, right? And not because of some freak accident, just of old age. They just kept on working because they had no choice, right? Once again, thank you, Electrician, for the super chat. Thank you, right? Bro, this is not, I come back to this again. This is not sustainable. I understand what Jason is saying. I don't even fully disagree. When the brother was going through the numbers, and by the way, Jason has some really good car knowledge. As a gearhead, Jason has some really good knowledge of automobiles and the price of things. And it was interesting to see Jeff Brown, call into his. It was good to see, not even interesting, good to see Jeff Brown call in and kind of describe the landscape in California, the financial landscape of California. And I could tell you, as a person from South Florida, bro, Jason is spot on. Pretty much he's right. Anything outside the Panhandle, good luck. South Florida been unaffordable. That's just been gone, right? Good luck. Central Florida, the Orlando, Daytona area, out of here. Jacksonville, out of here. And when you go on the east coast of Florida, the Naples, Tallahassee, Tampa, Fort Myers, gone. Right? So, I mean, if we're okay with the uber wealthy and the corporations just snatching up all the houses and tell you you're not going to own anything, and we're going to have you paying not a mortgage but rent on this home perpetually until you die, and then even when you pass, it's not like you'll be able to pass this home on to your children because you won't own it, then if we're okay with that, then fine. Then I guess Gen Z and millennials are going to have to deal with the consequences of that, right? Never owning a home and passing it on, never really having a real savings, right? If we're gonna, like, Jason started the somber conversation, all right then, let's get it. I'm with, all right, let's do it. At least for brothers listening to me now, I suggest, first of all, go check out Jason's stream, right? At least we know we could prepare ourselves mentally for the trek up the hill, the mountain, sorry, right? Ken put a tent emoji. I'm sorry. Man. But, you know, if you're not, at least here we're having a conversation. Shout out to the brother PK. PK, we talking money again, player. Right? We're talking money. You know, let me run this down for PK real quick. So the brother Jason Black, the Black Authority, on his business channel, he was speaking about, the title is something along the lines of like, millennials and Gen Z will work until they die. He went over the numbers of like pretty much with the average new car prices right now, which is some $48,000 a year. I'm sorry, $48,000 or something. He went down details of how much it cost in these different states. You know, you know, Jason Black did what Jason Black does. And I'm following up. I didn't even really wait until he ended the stream, right? I'm sorry. I had to do it now. I was so eager to pretty much back him up. A slight pushback by saying, because what Jason Black stressed, and he mic dropped on this one, which was get rich or die trying. Like, that's the solution. And so what I'm responding to Jason Black with is like, okay, then prepare to watch the masses. I'm not talking about 50% masses. I'm talking about 80% masses die trying. Because the number, when the top 20% the top 20% owns the top 20%, I keep on phrasing this wrong, has 50% of the wealth. Already, the top 20%. That means the bottom 80% is fighting for 50% of the wealth. If we put the top third, the wealth is gone then, pretty much. Right? This is just like, it's not sustainable at that point. And that's why I walked in the door in this space making the line of delineation top 20%. And I wasn't just talking about the women and your access to them. Right? That's why I walked in the door saying that. If I'm going to be 100% with you guys, when I walked in the door saying that, it's because of all the things that I've watched over the past couple decades of my life. And I was almost certain about that. And I became certain of it the more I watched, the more I read, right? The more articles I've read, the more news segments I've watched, the more sociologists, economists I've listened to, it just made it more clear to me that the line of delineation was the top 20%. Everything from dream hoarders, from Richard Reeves, to different people. I heard Jason Black mention Scott Galloway. I literally have a bunch of clips of Scott Galloway in my YouTube history right now. Right? Right? It's so funny that Jason Black mentioned Scott Galloway because I literally have a bunch of his, because I've been following him for a while. Right? So, um, bro, this shit is not sustainable, bro. It's just not. It's not. I hear what Jason is speaking about, and I think Jason was more speaking on an individual basis. If he's not, then he could correct me. You know, maybe he's not, but I think that's more of the where he was speaking about you and your inner circle. But on a societal level, this shit ain't sustainable. It's just not. Right? It's just not. When, like I keep on saying, when 60% of your population can't afford $1,000 emergency, right? I remember Jason covered this article with something like this was I remember him covering it maybe a couple years ago, where it was like if the rent in LA went up 5% or something like that, it would knock how many people out of the renters market? Like they would just have to move back in with their parents or something. Come, bro. In that environment, we telling people to get rich or die trying? Nah. Right? Just no. Right? So yeah, so I don't see this being sustainable. This particular economic model, like I said, the neoliberal project worked. Greed is good. Gordon Gekko worked. We need to stop. We need to stop pretending like that. Like these people are like, oh, these people are anti-capitalist. Blah 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 blah. I've been saying this. I said it on Art New Styles channel a couple months ago. I've been saying it. The reason why your children sound like commies is because look at the environment that they're coming of age in, right? Look at the environment that your children are coming of age in. That is why they sound like hammer and sickle. And our answer to them is, you know, either what Jason Black is saying, which is get rich or die trying, or enter some STEM field and just keep on going and don't look back. And pray to God you don't have a health issue that sits you down for a little while. Pray to God that that doesn't happen. Like, right? We're admitting, and Jason Black even admit, like the top 5%, it's that, maybe the top 20, and that's it. Right? We have watched rent prices just skyrocket. Do y'all let me stress how crazy the environment is. These people thought that COVID was going to bring about a baby boom because people were at home and they were going to be, you know, and having sex like jackrabbits, and there was going to be some baby boom post 2020. And it actually, COVID made the situation with the population even worse, and now they're calling it a baby bust. That, you know how poor you gotta be, or how much struggling you gotta be to not even want to have, to not even be able to afford to have sex, and definitely not have a oops baby. Right? The brother PK said, the government and the Wall Street did this, and your banks, in parentheses, right? True. Laissez-faire capitalism, right? The end of Glass-Steagall, right? The end of the Telecom Act, right? Allowing all these radio stations to just hoard all the wealth. The consolidation. Just about all the big industries you could think of are near monopolies. Five and six corporations own all of name the industry. Name it. From cable to beer. Entrepreneurship was at a 40-year low before COVID-19, and we think that that's because what Xers and the Xers, oldest of millennials, and maybe the youngest of boomers didn't want to start businesses, or did they get priced out, or starting a new business just became insanely expensive, or the competition was just that insane because open a mom and pop shop to try to undercut Walmart is just not a thing anymore. I mentioned to you guys on the breakdown when I was going back and forth with Big Truck, the article that spoke about the was it Google and someone else? Google, it wasn't Google and Apple. Google and whoever, it might have been Google and Apple. Google and Microsoft, one of them or two of them colluding to keep wages low. Illegal as hell, by the way. Colluding to keep wages low. This is the whole tech, and this is STEM, right? This is STEM. This is the tech industry. Right? This is the environment. So, I'm about to end out. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. We see tent cities being erected everywhere. We see them, right? We see them all over California. I watched something not too long ago that said people are holding on to their cars longer and longer now. A decade, 12 years. Because they can't afford something else. The masses of Americans can't afford another vehicle. When they finally done paying that car off after 5, 6, 7 years, now 8, 9, 10 years, they hold on to it as long as humanly possible. Yes, we see people spending stupid money on frivolous things. Yes. Right? Yes, that's true. But that's not most people anymore. That wasn't even, God, it was another thing that the Sagar and Crystal covered a couple years ago. It was a leaked document. I want to say it was from Citibank, where they pretty much said we've squeezed the wealth out of the bottom 80. They don't got no wealth anymore. We need to rejigger the economy to work for the bottom 20. We've taken all the wealth from the bottom 80. We need to rejigger this thing to work for the professional managerial class, the top 20. The bottom 80 don't have they don't got nothing else. We flip them upside down and like a bully in a movie that flip the nerd upside down and shake them and all the chains fall out. We've done that to the bottom 80. They don't got anything else. So that speaks to what Jason was saying earlier, where on his stream, where he said they're trying to downsize their production, and I'm paraphrasing, and charge more per vehicle, so lower the units, but charge more per unit because they know they can get it. And there you go, rejiggering the economy to work for the professional managerial class, the top 20%. Because the top 20% are the ones working from home. The top 20% are the ones who parents have the money to help them put down on that home. They're the ones that the parents liquidate their house, move in with one of the children, and then give both of the children, the 3 children they have, their pretty much their inheritance while the parents are still alive. So your parents have 3 kids. They sell their house for all type of 500,000, 600,000 and give all of you the $200,000 and then live with one of you. And the rest of us, black people, are competing against those people. If you're ultra mega, if you're just dumb lucky as a black person, and we know this ain't a thing, if you're dumb lucky, your parents could maybe give you 10 grand, 15. If you're, I'm like, if you're lucky, I mean like dumb lucky, right? What, didn't we cover see something when they said the only people that's really competing against the investors, the investor class for these homes, are people who literally are getting money from their relatives to put down on the first house, and they're coming in with $50,000 above asking price, 40 and 50. So I hear what Jason is saying, and I don't fully even disagree on an individual level, but on a societal level, oh, bro, all right. Right? On a societal level, I just don't see it. Right? So, shout out to the brother Jason Black. The link is in the description, right? And no, I'm not on Jason Black's level intellectually or with the research or anything like that. But I just had to put my 2 cents in, because if the brother is going to speak on an individual basis, I can't really disagree with him on the get rich or die trying. But if we're starting to talk about the 330 some odd million Americans that exist right now, that the median income for those of them that work is some $36,000 a year. That's what? Not sustainable. Not sustainable. This is why I don't poo-poo people that live at home with their parents. I bring it up. I talk about the women because I want to stress to them, look, I know you living at home with one of your relatives, or a significant amount of you are living at home with one of your relatives well into your 30s. But it's not to make fun of black people in particular. Right? I know what this environment is. There was a window where you could move out of your parents' house at 18 years old and never look back, and get you a nice, comfortable factory job, and retire at 55, 60, 65, and pay for your kids' college, and you would still have 2.3 kids, 2-car garage, and chill. We don't live in that era anymore. Young people are living with their parents well into their late 20s, their early 30s, their mid 30s. I didn't even talk about black people yet. Definitely that's the case for many black people. So we need to stop pretending that the environment isn't the environment. This is what it looked like. And so when Jason speaks about get rich or die trying, and that's the solution on an individual basis, yes. On a societal basis, that sounds like free market capitalism. That sounds like people dying. What did Black Uru said? We will be eating each other in the streets. We will be eating each other in the middle of the streets. And I agree with Black Uru with that. If that's where we going, what did me and Nameless tell y'all? Definitely me. Technological utopia, social dystopia. I don't want to see that. I'm in my mid-30s. God willing, I get another 40 years on this planet. Maybe 50 years if I'm lucky. That is not sustainable. On a societal level, that is not sustainable. It's just not. Right? So, I'm gonna pause right there. Like I said, I didn't want to make this too long. I didn't want to step on Art New Style toes too long. I don't know if Jason is still on right now. Maybe, maybe not. All right, y'all. Love, peace. Oh, wait. Let me read Charles comment. You know, Charles be looking out. So let me. Charles says, let's look at the median income and also the the. I think you meant to say length of time the average American has in their working years. Yeah, you meant to say length of time. Yeah, Charles, this shit is not just bro. I want you to understand, like, maybe it's the social justice warrior in me, maybe it's the lefty in me, maybe I I am of the mind that even if I'm okay, even better than okay, in my inner circle is I'm still afraid for everyone else because I live on the planet with other people. Right? I growing up in the hood, you see how dominoes fall and how you could be perfectly alright. You and you could be alright. But two houses down is not, and that just destroys everything. Right? We've all black people have been in a oh shit situation where you and your people are chilling, and because other people got beef, now the whole block is hot. Shout out to Lil Wayne, right? If y'all youngins don't know, that was one of Lil Wayne's, like, that was his first big song. The block is hot. Just letting y'all know, right? That's Lil Wayne before all the skater stuff and all the other stuff, right? Shout out to BG and Juvenile also. But yeah, right? So knowing that all of these things are interconnected is why I speak and think the way I do. So average isn't average anymore. Right? Average isn't average anymore. It's worse than it's not good enough anymore. Average isn't average anymore. America is going more and more into rich and poor. There is no middle. All right then. I wonder if this society is ready to have a society that at one point did have a middle class, and then within a generation or two does not have a middle class. And all the social unrest that comes from that. Throw in social media, throw in the divisiveness, throw in the algorithms. Y'all think this ends well? I don't think this ends well. I don't think this ends well at all. Throw in the neoliberal project over the past 40 some odd years. I don't think this ends well at all. So I'll truly end right there. Shout out to you, Mr. Jason Black. Great podcast as usual. Thank you for bringing in the numbers, going into detail. Brother, I don't see how this is sustainable. I just don't. I just don't. I'm sorry. On an individual level, get rich or die trying, cool. Agreed. On a societal level, not so much. And shout out to all of you for listening in and commenting in. Brother Charles, thank you very much for commenting. Brother Electrician 480, thank you for the super chat. PK, thank you for coming in as usual. And I'm gonna pause right there. Let me go get my food, and I will try to be on our New Styles channel in a little bit. Yeah, bro. And shout out to you, PK. PK says we are living in an age where the world will indeed be flat. Shout out to all the flat earthers. All right, I truly pause right there. Love, peace, and chicken grease. All right, y'all. Mr. Z out.